Call to order. Roll call.
Nancy Huffman.
Present.
Terry Pavasich.
Here.
Mike Davenport.
Here.
Charles Fuller. Here. Dan Nicholas.
Here.
Rick Cavanato.
Here.
Don Renner.
Here.
Eleanor Flynn. Here. And Kirk Hoffman.
Here.
Great, we have a quorum. Let's stand for the Pledge of Allegiance.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, you got new clocks. They're bigger and easier to see. Thank you.
Same on both sides.
Thank you.
Exactly the same time.
Even better.
Take it 14.
So let's start with, we need an approval of the minutes for the October 15th, 2018 business meeting, the October 15th, 2018 closed meeting, and the November 12th, 2018 special workshop meeting. Do we have a motion?
I move we accept as read.
Terry moves.
Seconded.
Dan seconds.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
Rick Cavanato. Aye. Don Renner.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
And Charles Fuller. Aye. Nancy Huffman.
Aye, the minutes pass. Thank you. So this meeting agenda includes two opportunities for comments from the audience. The first reception of visitors is intended for audience members to address the board about any agenda item on which the board will vote. Is there anyone who wants to address the board on any items on which we will vote?
I touched this.
Hearing none, we'll move on to recommendation and reports of the superintendent. And it looks like the first one is always a lovely moment.
Yes.
Presentation of District 99 Educational Foundation.
I'm sorry, it was
Terry is going to fill in for
Yes.
our foundation president, who's out of town. So Terry volunteered to present for us.
Yes. We have,
Could you state your name and address, please? Nice.
yes, for those of you who don't know me. Hi. We have some fabulous Education Foundation checks to give out. And we totaled $7,577. So that's quite a bit of student learning that's going to happen. And our first one is from South High, Scott Parker. And it's for a 3D printer for the Robotics Club. Thank you. And let's see. It is for $1,827.50. So, did we
This
get?
is also my co-sponsor, Kevin. He came in. He's a retired engineer.
Our next one is from North and South High. It's Jennifer Mullen, and it's for the Chamber Choir music program, and it's the Grant Street String Quartet Residency. Yes. And that is for $2,000. So congratulations and thank you. And the next one goes to Robin Faraday and Lauren Rowdy. Oh, did I mispronounce it? I am so sorry. No one said I could pronounce anyone's name. Anyway, it's for North and South Social Studies, and it's the birthday voting package. So, and that is for $1,000. Thank you. Thank you.
Karen's representing North as well.
So there's your check.
Thank you.
Yeah,
Thank you so much.
Thank you. And then I got two more. The next one is for Amanda McDonald from North, and it's for yoga for strength and stretch and stress reduction.
Right, yeah.
All right. Congratulations. Maybe we all need that. Maybe we should all take that class.
It is.
It's for $750, so thank you.
Yes.
Thank you. And then last but not least, Brewer Teague at North for the Bernstein AT100 collaboration with Gallaudet Bass. Did I-
Gaudete Brass.
Sorry.
That too.
We'll take that.
I'll take it.
And that's for $2,000. So thank you very much. And good luck with all of you. And we hope to get pictures back for the foundation so we can let everybody know what a great job this money has done.
Yep.
So
Great.
please be sure and send us whatever you want. And
Thank you.
So you're gonna ask you
Yeah.
all to step out into the hallway for pictures. Terry, you
Our
wanna go?
official photographer.
We got you covered, Terry.
We got you
okay,
covered.
all right.
Go ahead out there.
That's
We'll
fine.
do the freedom. But I would like to just take a moment to say once again, thank you, Foundation. These are women and men who work tirelessly, raising money to help support additional.
And if
programs within
anyone
our
would like to
schools.
donate, by all means.
You can donate all year. You don't have to wait for Pizza Wars.
Yes, you
right.
can go right to the website, and it has a link on there, so you can donate at any time.
And that is, go ahead. That's the 99 Foundation. You know, we're just going to go a little out of order while she's gone. Now let's talk about Freedom of Information requests. Have you
Oh,
guys
sure, we
done
can
some
go
work?
out of order. Freedom of
requests?
Information requests, we received 2 and filled both of them.
Okay, thank you very much.
We could probably go to, you want to do Master Facility Plan Progress? It's a short report.
Yeah.
Just pause for a second.
Let's just pause first, Terry.
Can I have you send that
Oh, you bet. Yeah.
while we're waiting?
Certainly, sir.
This was, well, an graduate work.
Just a drink. See, we have some drinks. Oh, okay.
Yeah, this is pretty sweet.
I should have brought mine. I signed yours last week. Did you? Didn't I? Didn't I use that pen? Sure. If I didn't. Thank you. Nancy's circulating a couple for me. Terry's circulating a couple. I'll get probably 50 on my own. Yeah. I missed last Sunday, but this Sunday.
Thanks, Ted.
Anytime. I've got 2 more signatures coming home from college.
Yes, they're eligible voters.
Yeah.
Towers to hide behind.
Yeah. It's like torture, though. I'm ready to eat one right now.
It's my favorite.
Okay, so Terry is back. Let's move on to the 2019-20 Capital Improvement Plan.
Sure, Jim is going to present on this topic. This is our yearly discussion of capital improvement.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, I love my glasses.
Believe it or not, we still have work outside of the master facility plan. Okay, there's the list for 2019-2020. The years fly by. As you see, it's a shortened list, but I'll explain a little more in a moment. There are 4 large projects on there that we'll bid out. Just want you to recognize that these are concept budget numbers on the project estimates. What we plan on doing is putting these large projects in the big master facility plan bid outs early next year as alternates to segregate them from the big plan, but also get some good numbers. So we're looking at putting 4 of these projects with the next summer projects for the MFP, and I'm hoping to get some good numbers back. So those budget project estimates that you're seeing could be lower, and if so, then we'll put more projects from the plan back on the list and do more work. So looking forward to possibly getting some good numbers. None of these projects in 1920 will interfere with the MFP work. They're all outside what we're doing. So let's just go through them pretty quick here. A lot of these you're familiar with. First line is large RMS, repair and maintenance services. This is for concrete, asphalt, mechanical units, large repair work at the buildings, and also unexpected breakdowns that we need to repair throughout the course of the year. Second item is annual bleacher inspections. As you know, we do yearly bleacher inspections, and this is for that inspection and also repairs at the campuses. Third is here at the garage. Our hydraulic lift is failing, so we're going to replace it this year. The fourth and fifth items are annual items. The first one's North annual furniture, fixture, and equipments. So these are needs for North's chairs, tables, student desks are examples. And turf repairs is the next line item, and that is for outdoor green space and turf repairs at North. Next item is electrical in the auditorium and light replacement for North. So as you know, we have replaced the LED lighting at the North Auditorium. We plan on doing that next summer. Incandescent house lights and some theater lighting as well. Switched out to LED, so some energy savings there. Plus a dimmer rack and a control system that's going to go along with it. One of the reasons why we kind of pushed this project about a year or so ahead of time is we're experiencing some damage to cloth wiring there to the house lights, so we want to replace that as well. So as you see, it's a big number, but there's a lot to this project, and we want to get it done within the year. Next item is locker room renovation for North. This is the underground track locker room area. Football team uses it down there. So it's a big locker room. The work includes flooring, finish upgrades, electrical, lighting replacement, and one-to-one fixture replacements. That would be showers, toilets, urinals, sinks throughout. Moving on to South, two items are annuals, same thing as North, FF&E, furniture, fixture, and equipment, and grounds repairs. Bigger project at South is the coaches' locker room renovation. This is the existing women's coaches' locker room. It's going to be relocated to the existing training room storage area, which is a larger space. So we're kind of moving three pieces here. Renovation to the training room, to the men's locker room, and to the women's coaches' locker room. So to produce a bigger space for the women's coaches' locker room. So these include flooring, finishes, upgrades, electrical, plumbing throughout. Also, the men's locker room will have that as well. So all three are being renovated, and we need to blow out a wall on one of these as well. So big project down there. The next line item is bathroom renovation. As you know, the last 2 years, if you had a chance to go to South and look at some of the new bathrooms that are in the student hallways, I think Mike Reyes and South has done a great job. They've done 4 in the last 2 years. They'd like to do 2 more next summer. So this is a cost for renovating those South for 19 and 20. Last but not least is the pool lighting for South. We have 2 pools. Both have older lighting. I'll explain why we're doing one at a time. We don't want to have one down for a long period of time and the other one down as well. So we're going to offset, probably do this next year, and then the following year we'll do North. So this is all the high bay lighting to LED, dimming system with controls, occupancy sensors that will be shut off automatically if the pool's not occupied, and also night lights. So when we do a count, we have 23 lights above the lap tank, 16 above the dive tank, 8 night lights, and 16 balcony lights. They're all going to be replaced. So more energy savings with the lighting at South. Those was the quick list. Questions?
Jim, I didn't understand the interplay between the capital budget and the master facility plan. Could you rehash that for me?
So all this work is outside of anything to do with the MFP, so it won't interfere with any of the construction or what we're doing. So it's unrelated to what we'll be doing next summer or the next 2 years after that.
But you said something about it being an alternate?
Yes.
So that's
We're
where,
planning on bidding out for the MFP in January, February, March for different bidding projects, electrical, plumbing, so they're going to be huge because there's a lot of work to be done. So a concept that I've been doing now for a few years when we do these big projects like life safety is I add these to the bid specs as alternates. So we get a company that'll want that big project.
Then you have
They'll put a lower number in, even though they're a huge company.
because you have some economies of scale, is that what you're saying?
Yes.
Okay.
So what we've seen in the past, the last boiler house, air conditioning, so I intertwined them in those bids as well. What we did was we set some as alternates, and those bids came in way lower, and then we rebid some, getting a good contractor at a good price.
And if you do tag along with the larger bids in the MFP, that doesn't mean will issue bonds for those projects. We'll still use our capital budget for that portion of the overall bid.
Great question. That's why they're alternates.
Okay.
So when a construction company puts in a bid, they're going to have a bid for all the work that's specified for the MFP, and then the alternate is a whole different entity.
Okay.
And that's where the capital
Okay.
improvement money will come.
Okay.
To pay for that. So it's not intertwined, so wow, now we got to go back to the contractor
Yeah.
and say, separate that for us. I
Sure.
don't want to do that. I want it to be clean.
Sounds great. Thanks, Jim.
Sure.
So question, speaking of economies of scale, in your memo, you mentioned that this budget came in 100,000 less than this year, prior years. Would it make sense for us to look at, you mentioned about the pool lighting at North potentially being a next year project. If we're 100,000 under where we were, would it make sense to put the North pool lighting back in here and bid North and South together? Would we get better pricing if we had one company do both of them at one time?
Then they'll both be down.
With the MFP, we'll be going out to bid every year. We'll have another round the following year. So I really don't want to close these pools down for the duration of a summer, both of them. So we'll have that opportunity again, so it's a great question.
The key is both of them, right? So the key is you want to keep one of the pools
Right.
unaffected
Up and
because they're in constant use all year long.
We
So,
have community, we have our programs, we don't like
No.
shutting down.
and it's something, and that's probably summer work, yes?
Yeah.
So that otherwise would be, you could do one then do the other or something, right? And avoid that overlap, but I don't think we want to risk that.
Maybe I could jump into the $1.2 million is $100,000 less than last year, not because of the list of items is smaller. The list is longer than, but we allocate as part of the forecasting and also the budget process, and because of the master facility plan and all the work that's being done in planning and forecasting, we decreased it by $100,000, the allocation to that area. So that's why it went down, not because the list is different, but there's always, probably could do a couple $1 million worth of stuff a year.
All the lists are long. I mean,
Long lists.
I can go deep.
And there's some
You know.
bigger projects, so we look at what's going on with MFP and what can we pick that's going to be not in that area perhaps and not interfering with it, but still get the benefit of having a bigger contractor in here who will do this work at a much more competitive price than if you just brought in one separate single contractor in to do it individually on his own. His administrative costs are down also. He's already got somebody here as a manager for his particular project, probably.
Which things can we do as alternates to tag along with the MFP?
Locker room renovation, auditorium lighting, pool lighting, and the bathroom, the coach's locker room renovation. So the 4 largest numbers.
Maybe a little bit of the FFE?
Well,
It's different.
that's different.
It's repairs more, so you do onesie, twosie, you don't do a whole classroom. It would cost $30,000 to do.
A lot of times, those are state already, where we can purchase from the state bidding, which is the lowest price. You know, since you brought up the FF&E, I just want to tell the group that in the future, we're going to be looking at that again as we go into the master facility plan and we see the cost of these rooms and furniture. We want to be able to keep that and or add classrooms in the future. So you may see that number change to a higher number for both schools as we go into the next 2 or 3 years, and then thereafter. Because what we've learned is, this furniture is wonderful, but it's expensive. And we'll see how much work we can get done with the MFP, but there's going to be a lot of other classrooms that are going to have needs. And we got to take the money from somewhere. So I'm already thinking and projecting ahead that those are going to be a little higher because I want to do these classrooms in the future. And, at some point over a lifespan of 5 to 10 years, do all the rooms and then go back into it again.
Excellent, Jim. Well, this is really fantastic, Jim. I mean, your whole approach to this, the leveraging of what we're doing with the MFP to bring down pricing on things that we would be doing every year regardless of that is really wonderful. And if you look at there's no way to know what you would have spent if you didn't have the MFP, going on. But it's going to be substantial savings, not only this year, but you're going to look to do this again next year and the year after that, and maybe year after that. So this is certainly saving the district a substantial amount of money, and I love it. So thank you.
Well, I'll point out it's exactly a board goal that was set earlier this year to continue capital improvement projects and to utilize the master facility plan to get better purchasing as a process of that. So
That's right.
Doing exactly what the board asked for here.
Good. Any other questions or comments? Good job, as always, Mr. Coliger.
Thank you.
Master facility plan progress?
All right, in the last week since we met, we submitted to the Village of Downers Grove the planning and zoning materials, and we expect, Jim estimated that we probably should hear some comments back to the administration within the next month, and then we anticipated going to the planning and zoning public meeting somewhere, probably January or February, depending on how that goes. So that's kind of the timeline we're looking at with that. I mentioned last week the surveys that we're preparing. I saw some drafts of those. Because not every room has the furniture yet, the one set of questions we're going to ask all the students in all of the classrooms here in the next week or so is to give us feedback on their old furniture and what it used to be like, or in some cases, what it's still like, because they don't have new furniture yet. And then over the next couple of weeks, we'll send out the second one, which is we'll go kind of classroom by classroom as things change there. And then after winter break, we'll send out the one about all of the changes. I realize that the first semester students won't have that one, but they won't be in a room with all of the changes yet. So we'll kind of feather those in and get feedback as we go along here. So that's kind of where we're at right now.
Comments or questions? Moving on to the reports from the IASB, IASA, and IASBO annual conference. Why don't we start with Mike?
Sure.
He's our IASB rep.
Right. So the first item I'll cover is regarding the delegate assembly, which everybody, a lot of people are familiar with, right? That's right. There were.
It was a press conference.
Right. There were people out protesting. I was looking for some of my notes here. Can't find. There were people protesting. I guess probably mostly against the arming of teachers, but I really didn't see all the protesters outside because I was
really across the street.
I was inside doing what I was supposed to be doing, which was considering the situation. As I shared with all of you ahead of time, my position was opposed to the idea that we would that schools would be arming their employees. And in fact, it was 203 against and 179 in favor. So it was closer than what I thought it was going to be, especially after there was such a long line of people standing up to speak on behalf of their districts against the proposal, and probably about twice as many against, I think, really, than for. But the vote was close. And what was interesting, too, is that there were, I think, 408 delegates, but the total being 203 to 179, there were several that decided not to vote at all.
26
Yeah.
abstained within if those 26 would have voted the other way, it would have passed.
Except that the chances are that they wouldn't have all
split as
voted
well.
one. Right, yeah, right.
Just to be clear, though, when they were talking about employees, they weren't talking about like resource officers or security
No.
guards. They were talking about teachers.
Talking about teachers.
Faculty.
Administrators.
Right, exactly. So I'll just, you all received the press release on this, but I thought I'd just, for the sake of the record, kind of read in a little narrative about this. The districts opposing the measure opined that arming staff would not create a safer environment for students. The intent of the proposed resolution was to give local school districts the authority to decide what is best for the communities in the areas of school safety and student protection. The resolution was supported primarily by rural school districts with concerns about emergency response time and lack of financial resources to employ school resource officers. I thought, one of the people that stood up in opposition maybe put it best, and that is that so many of the things that we do as school districts is driven by data. We look at what's going to produce the best outcome and what other things have been done and was that successful or not. And he simply said, show me the data that this would be a positive thing for our schools. It would make schools safer. It doesn't exist. In fact, the data that is out there would suggest otherwise. So I was happy that we were on the good side of that vote. There were other things that were considered, right? And you saw those in the committee, the resolutions committee report. Those being the approved reaffirmation of an association position on charter school funding methodology, approved amended belief statement on education and civics, approved new belief statement recommending local authority over decision-making relating to school safety drills, plans and procedures, and approved amended belief statement on safe and secure environments, adding language to encourage state and federal investment of comprehensive mental health resources. I did also, I don't want to totally monopolize the time, so I'll maybe mention a couple things to you individually afterwards that from a couple of sessions I attended. I took away, had a couple of interesting takeaways from. So, well, I got to find my notes on it, and I couldn't find it.
We'll come back to you. Terry, did you want to have anything you wanted to bring?
Well, I left early. I didn't stay for the whole thing. So, but I did. My thing is I did stop and talk to the Kai, or is it Kai? K, the people who make the chairs.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Stuff?
Yes.
Those are really neat. And I hope you guys like them. I don't know if either one of your classrooms are going to have them, but the chairs where you can sit either way or on top of the handle or turn it to the side and put your laptop on there. Those are really cool. But are we going to also try those, I think they were called barrel chairs? They're brand new. They have a circular appeal, and then they have, they're for more of reading and studying and doing that.
I imagine you'd see stuff like that probably in the Commons or the study room.
Yeah, or even in the library.
Or the library. Yeah.
Places where, students might want to just sit and have some private time to do work or read or listen to, maybe a presentation or something. I think those would be really cool. They come with a footstool too, so they could just sit there and chill. So, anyway, I thought those were pretty exciting, so that was about it.
Dan, did you have anything you wanted to? Oh, sorry, did you want to say something?
I just wanted to ask you to remind me who in the voting body, was that all for the guns, for and against guns?
So-
Is the voting body normally just the board members, or what does the vote?
Yeah, it was our association represented at that meeting, and it was a delegate assembly, so every district in the state sends one delegate, so I was that delegate.
I was just
Yeah.
wondering, what did the body looks like? And so basically, the school board is representing, I guess, the masses.
Right, and then so it just becomes so all of these things are just official positions of the state, of our association, of our Illinois Association of School Boards, and once these positions are basically ratified, right, by our group, then the association makes it their task to lobby legislators on behalf of legislation that would support these goals and agendas that we have as a school board association.
I was
So,
just wondering.
yeah. No, it's a good question, and maybe something that people, not everybody was aware
Well,
of. So.
when you think about the state, let's say the south of I-80, there's probably twice as many districts when you think about that than there is in the collar counties, so.
I don't know what the math would be on that, but
I mean, when you think of all the small towns and,
Yeah. Well, there are districts that, though, there was one district, starts with an M. It's like the second largest district in the state, geographically represented it was like 300 square miles or something. I mean,
Right,
so
yeah. Well,
that's
then when you get down to the Shawnee National Forest down in there, you've got huge areas.
These were the places that have a real problem with, the response times, and we're searching for a solution, to those problems. And so there was definitely empathy on my part for their plight. But I don't think that, arming the teachers is the way to solve that problem. I think my opinion would be best if they had student resource officers like we do. Unfortunately, they can't afford it. And so perhaps the state should maybe ought to do something about that. So.
That's actually where I was going with this, just wondering if there was going to be some continuation on what should happen. Because obviously, if the vote was, so many people were for it, it's like it's something that's driving some fear or something where they feel like they need a plan, because they're not as fortunate as we are in the larger school districts to be able to have,
Right.
the type of police force, and the type of plans we could put in place to have, to feel safer.
Well, be interesting to see what happens next year, and I don't know that I'll still be here to do that, but this is now 2 years in a row that there's been a resolution on the ballot for us to consider related to this. I'd suspect it's a problem that's not going away, and there'll probably be something again next year for us to consider.
Well, the problem is we already, as districts all over the state, have so many unfunded mandates that if the state would mandate that every school have a resource officer, some of those districts would have to, eliminate teachers. You hate to say that, but I mean, so then their curriculums would be affected by that, and so there's no real easy answer for that whole situation.
It was an impressive debate, and in that the people, it was a good debate, and it was this sort of temperament as well.
Good.
So there was, emotions weren't riding really high, and people weren't put off by somebody having a different opinion. So it was encouraging.
Good to see that our schools still model for society what should happen.
Yes.
Yeah.
Dan, did you have anything you wanted to bring?
The only thing I'll add, so it was a good conference, great conference. I went to a couple of the legislature update sessions. it's going to be an interesting 12 to 18 months after the changes in the governor's office and changes in the legislature. A lot of ideas floating out there around funding, minimum teacher salaries. There was discussion around funding for SROs. So I think it's going to be something we're going to have to really keep an eye on and how those potential changes are going to impact our district going forward. So there's no, obviously, in those types of meetings, no definitive answers, but there's a lot of ideas. So it was a very interesting part of the conference.
Thank you. Don, did you have anything?
No.
Rick?
I thought it was a good conference, too. I also attended the legislation ones, so a lot of talk. So,
Talk and no action.
As you'd expect, right?
A lot of talk.
Nope, I don't have anything to add. I attended a couple conferences, and I picked up some things, but there were so many competing where I'm like,
Yeah.
I want to go to this one, but.
I did not attend a conference this year. Did you have anything else you wanted to bring up?
I did. So just, I did stop by the Forecast 5 booth and talk to them. That's exciting. So I'm not going to.
Report yet, but.
Yeah, I'm not going to steal your thunder on that, but I did stop by and take a look at that. And then in one of the sessions I did visit was regarding kind of how you run school board meeting. And so a couple suggestions out of that I thought we might consider. One being that you might take like a 2-minute recess or something after a student presentation. So we have every month we have a presentation from our students, and sometimes when that's over and then we continue on with our meeting, it's a little awkward because they want to leave and it can be a little disruptive. And so by taking just a small pause, it's kind of like gives them permission to go and for the room to then settle back down. So I thought that was something to think about. And then the other thing was when people come to the microphone, and as much as we don't want to get into a dialogue with the public, if a question's answered and it's asked and it's easily answered, there's no harm in just going ahead and answering that question instead of making them stick around until after. And I thought that was kind of nice too, that we don't necessarily need to be super rigid. But if it's, it depends on the question. But there are some questions that are pretty simple, and if you've got a ready answer, and then it's yes, no, or whatever, to go ahead and do that, not make everybody just stay. And I don't think that really applies to us, but it was just something to think about. So I also attended a legislative session, and lots of talk, not a whole lot to take away.
I don't know, did Mark or Pete or Gina or Hank, did you read anything?
I will triple or quadruple down on the lots of talk around legislation.
Yeah.
A lot of things around pensions, caps, cost shifts, budgets, evidence-based formula and what that means going forward, and a lot of uncertainty with the changes that are going to come. So we will definitely be paying close attention to what's happening there, and I'm sure getting our money's worth out of Lend over the next couple of years. So, I went to a lot of sessions on what could be coming due to those changes.
Anything?
I'll just jump in. The two general sessions, we went to one, Pete and I sat through one with collective bargaining. It seemed like virtually everything they were recommending you do, we pretty much modeled that already on the collective bargaining. I didn't really pick up too much new there. The two general sessions, the second and third general sessions were probably the best I've ever heard. The second one was Ruby Ridges, who was in 1960 the first African-American girl to attend a segregated school, and her story was told through the eyes of a 6-year-old and how she didn't understand what was happening, and was actually amusing in some ways because she was, she's told it in a very colorful way, but it was really a good message. And the second one I thought was great was the final session on Sunday morning, and it was the father of Rachel Scott, who was the first student shot and to die in the Columbine attack. And this girl had kept daily journals for years and was, her model was Martin Luther King and other people that had influenced her life. She was a change maker in her own building. And now this has gotten to a movement where tens and hundreds of thousands of students and kids in the country have seen this. It was amazing. My 3 daughters are all teachers, and when I said, the Ruby Ridge one, they said, oh, yeah, I know about Ruby Ridge, and they had heard that story, and then they hadn't heard this story yet, though, about Rachel Scott, and they call it Rachel's Challenge, and I think you should all Google it and take a look at what they've done on that nationally to just increase awareness of differences between people, and it really fits exactly in what we're doing with our deep equity in our district and trying to make everybody more sensitive to, where everybody's coming from, their point of view. Her famous saying is, when you're looking at somebody, don't look at them, look through them. Try and find out what got them there, what their history has been to get there, and you'll be so surprised, that your first instinct is usually totally wrong about people. So, and this is a 16, 17-year-old girl writing in the journals. So it was, and the father was a very, very good speaker, and he's done it thousands of times, I guess, in the last 18 years. But
it's hard to believe.
it was very good. It was very uplifting and actually powerful.
My school does it. They've done it every year since after Columbine. And so the first year they had the brother come, and then I've seen the father too. He's come every year. So they bring, it's like a motivation. They do a motivational talk to the school, and then there's usually a club involved with it, Rachel's Challenge Club, and it's really good. Yeah, we do it every year at my school since it's happened. So it's really good. It's a good speaker.
I've actually seen it at Hinsdale. I was invited to go with a friend of mine who teaches there, so maybe that's something we should think about hosting here.
Yeah.
Anything else? Anybody else? Well, again, thank you all for your time and your efforts, and it was, I did not attend, but it was, it's a long weekend, and there's a lot of opportunity, but it's also a weekend away from your family, so thank you very much. Moving.
Before we move to consent, noticing the towers all sitting around, want a quick thank you to all of our board members for all of their hard work, dedication, and hundreds of hours that they do for very high pay, zero.
You all get a raise this year.
Yeah, I double your bonus this year.
Generosity.
As a former board member, I know firsthand the amount of work, effort, reading, preparation, and thoughtfulness that goes into being a good board member, and we have 7 excellent board members that serve the District 99 community. As a small token of thank you, we give you cake. Since you've done all the work already, you've already worked off all the calories, so nothing to worry about in those. But last Thursday was Board Member Appreciation Day, and so as a little token of our appreciation, please take the cake and enjoy. Thank you for everything that you do.
And I just want to say thank you for all the
Emails.
Records, saying thank you for all the kind emails I received
Those
as a
were
board
very
member.
nice.
Very
Thank you.
appreciative of that.
And if you are interested, just to go on record, if you are interested in becoming a board member, we are going to have an informational meeting a week from tomorrow.
Correct. Next Tuesday from 6:30 to 8 p.m. here at the Administrative Service Center. Nancy and I will run a session on what it means to serve on the board, where we'll go through what it means to be a board member, characteristics of good board members, how to get on the ballot, and just tips and tricks, things that we've learned over the years.
And there won't be a lot of time to get on the ballot, so it's really worth, if you're interested in doing it, it's really worth the time and effort to do it. And do people need to register this, or they can just come?
Nope, just come.
Okay.
And I did send out to anybody who's volunteered on a district committee this year information about that, since they're already involved in some way. I've asked the principals to send it out to their parents' groups, just so that, and then have, in that message, asked them to send it out to anybody they think would be interested in serving on the board, so that we get the word out that that's available. Many school districts do this, so we all encourage each other. Ours is kind of later, other ones have gone earlier, but there'll be ones after us. So anybody who approaches us and says, oh, I missed it, we always find them a neighboring school district that's offering something similar. So anybody who's interested in attending one of those sessions. So even if somebody's not interested in running for our board, we invite anybody that would like to come and learn about the process to come to ours.
Because it is the same,
It's the same.
with some variation.
Right,
Yeah.
right. So,
But you do have to live in the district. You do not have to have a child in the school at the time. Several of us, our kids have graduated, several of us, our kids aren't here yet, and several of us have children in the board, in the district. It's a lot of work, but it's also very fulfilling. So if you're thinking about it, do it. At least talk to us. And thank you for the thank you, and for the cake.
Yes.
cake's always good.
Okay, moving on to the consent agenda. We will, is there any item that any board member wishes to take, reserve out of the consent agenda? Hearing none, we need a motion to approve the personnel report appointment classified, personnel report resignation classified, financial pages, student tour, and a motion to authorize administration to update the name and/or contact information of administrators identified in board policies without requiring formal board action on the policy change.
So moved.
Second.
Terry seconds.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Don Renner.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka.
Aye, the consent agenda passes. Excuse me. Okay, so we will now move on to old business, policy committee report, second readings.
Yes, we're looking for a motion to approve these two policy changes. These are actually unusual because they aren't policy change recommendations made out of press, but they did follow the normal process and went through the policy committee. These are recommendations made from consultants, one that's working with us on our bonds,
Because
and the
it's
other
my
one that's working
computer
with us
that
on our FMLA processes and workflows. So these both bring us in line with best practices around some of our debt management and FMLA. I've received no questions. I don't know if policy committee members. Okay, so I
No
haven't
questions.
received any questions in the last month around. So that being said, questions? Otherwise, we're looking for a motion on those two policies.
So I'll make a motion for us to approve policy 4.4 debt management and 5.185 family medical leave as stated.
I'll second that.
Dan Nicholas.
Aye.
Rick Pavanato.
Aye.
Don Renner.
Aye.
Mike Davenport.
Aye.
Sherelle Fuller.
Aye.
Terry Pavasich.
Aye.
Nancy Kupka.
Aye, motion carries. We'll now move on to the second reception of visitors, which is intended for audience members to address the board on any topic pertaining to Community High School District 99. Comments will be limited to 3 minutes to provide all visitors an equal opportunity to address the board. If you need more time, please submit your thoughts in writing to Ms. Nydak, our board secretary. Visitors addressing the board need to come to the microphone and state your full name. The proceedings are being tape recorded for the purpose of producing accurate meeting minutes. And I reserve the right to modify these protocols if circumstances warrant. So come on up.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it. My name is Captain Matt Setta, United States Marine Corps. Good evening, President,
Yes,
Vice...
sir? I'm sorry. Can you
Excuse me,
spell your
ma'am?
name?
Say it again.
Can you please spell your name?
Setta, C-E-T-T-A.
Thank you.
Yes, ma'am. Good evening, President, Vice President, and distinguished members of the board. My name is Captain Matt Setta. I'm the Executive Officer for all Marine Corps recruiting in the Chicago and Chicagoland areas. Every year, less than 1% of high school graduates enlist in the Marine Corps. These young men and women come from different walks of life, are vigorously tested, and train on both coasts of our country, ultimately being asked to sign a blank check to our nation. What you see in the United States is not an all-volunteer force, but rather a recruited force. To be completely transparent, District 99 is not alone when it comes to compliance with providing access to military recruiters in accordance with ESSA. When we started addressing this issue, we had about 50 school districts total that we believed were violating, whether known to them or not, ESSA's provisions. During our campaign, we've ascertained that most secondary educational entities did not realize they were violating policy. This is likely because the changes are recent and institutional changes to processes and procedures take time. For clarity, my presence here is to address the receipt of lists containing student directory information. These lists are typically requested by military recruiters, institutions of higher education, and prospective employers. In the cases of Downers Grove North and South, a bona fide list, as we call it, was not attained. Our goal is 75% of the list for both the junior and senior classes. While this attainment is important, I also want to highlight the positive working relationship we have with Community High School District 99. Each school year, our Marines distribute awards at school assemblies and aid and ensure that top performers are recognized. Our Marines have aided coaches in quality physical training and motivation to both boys and girls sports teams. District 99 has produced students who have gone on to take leadership roles throughout the globe and currently serve in our nation's armed forces. For example, for Downers Grove North, there are 23 enlisted Marines since 2015 that are currently in the Marine Corps. For Downers Grove South, there are 42 enlisted Marines. Your graduates were able to take advantage of this opportunity because their recruiter was given the tools to effectively contact them and prepare them for the next step. In closing, I want to thank you for your time and for listening to my comments regarding my attendance this evening.
Thank you. So taking a cue from Mike's, Mr. Seta and I had a conversation beforehand.
Sir.
Earlier this year, he sent me information about ESSA and the information that we've provided to him. We did go back through our processes and make sure that we were following those, and then additional guidance was sent last week from Illinois State Board of Education and the Regional Office of Education. Between receiving that last week and today, our schools have gone through and made sure that we're compliant with all of those procedures. And then I've extended the offer to Mr. Seta to take a look at our registration forms next year as we prepare those for our families to make sure that he believes that we're compliant with those processes as outlined. So as you said, we have a good working relationship and we look to continue that.
Yes, sir, I appreciate it.
Thank you for bringing it to our attention.
Thank you.
Thank you for all that you do.
Thank you, ma'am. Appreciate it.
Is there anybody else who'd like to address the board? Okay, hearing none, let's have our communication and announcements report on the Legislative Education Network of DuPage. Did you have an update?
We did have a breakfast at District 88, and then we had the annual Len breakfast. At the breakfast at District 88, first Peg Agnos addressed the legislative changes, gave a brief synopsis of what we might come to expect over the next few months, but I don't think that there's really anything that could be forecast at this point in time. I think we're just going to have to keep our nose to the ground and continue to make our voices known. After her presentation, there was a presentation from Ralph Martiri, and I apologize, the name of his organization escapes me at the moment.
What, Center for Tax and
Budget Accountability.
Budget Accountability?
CTBA.
And he was giving a presentation about the pension problems we're having here in the state of Illinois, and proposed his ideas as far as how we could rectify those situations. He's serving on the governor's transition committee and is presenting his rationale and solutions to the governor. It was quite opposite of the presentation we heard just maybe a month ago that was dire, and suggested that there really were no solutions other than a constitutional amendment. Mr. Martiri, in essence, the way I would explain it is he thinks that we can refinance our debt by issuing debt in the interim over the next several years to pay for the gap between what our budget can otherwise pay for these pension debts, and in essence, use that debt that's issued at lower interest rates to then extend out the principal and interest payments on our outstanding debt. Whether it could work, I'm not sure. It's an interesting subject. It's certainly different than anything I've heard to date. It's nice and comforting to hear that there may be some solutions that might be actually practical, but until I see evidence that it actually is going to work and actually be implemented, I continue to remain pessimistic about
One of the
our
key-
state's finances.
One of the key components in the model that he proposed is something I've questioned for a very long time. The assumptions of the pension liability in Illinois is built around a 90% funding model, which is built to fund the model in such a way that 90% of your employees would retire at any one time, and you would have to be able to fund that. And that's a very strange assumption for an industry like education and how even you can get into the pension system and how that works. So one of the key tenets in making this work would be changing that number from 90% funded to 72% funded. Once you change your assumptions that way, all of a sudden everything gets a lot easier to fund. And so he contends that the model was built to be broken a long time ago, and to make things more dire than they were, and maybe not with maybe the best ideals in mind when that was designed that way. So it was nice to at least, instead of what we normally hear is that, Rome is burning and they're throwing gasoline on it, to have actually somebody look at it with a very rational, measured approach and try to find a way out of the problem.
We had the Lynn breakfast at the III, but it was more social than any really updates. So nothing to report from that breakfast.
Okay, report of SACID. I would like to just recognize Terry. I've been able to go for the last 2 months. and Terry took my place, so thank you, Terry. I shall be returning next month.
Yeah. Well, I wish they would tell you what time the meeting starts. That would have
On the
helped.
agenda.
See, you know what? I couldn't open the agenda because I don't have a password
Oh, okay.
to do that.
You gave her one tool short.
I'm so sorry.
Yeah, well, no, it's okay. I got to meet the new director of SACID, and she seems like a very nice woman, and I'm just hoping that she decides to change a few things around a little bit, especially the governing board and how that all works. So that's just my opinion, so.
So a new
It's-
executive director has been hired. I'm not sure her name has been released.
Yes.
Yes, I got a memo about her name, and I don't remember it off the top of my head, I'm sorry. But she seems like she's very nice.
Good. So thank you again, Terry.
Oh,
Did you have anything more you wanted to say about the 99 Education Foundation?
yeah, I've got a couple of things. Learning grants, so far this year, we've totaled $13,500, and our next applications deadline is February 1st of 19. Can we? No, don't even go there.
Don't.
But anyway, anyone who wants to submit, please do. Don't forget, next Tuesday, the 27th, is Giving Tuesday. And you can do it with hashtag Giving Tuesday. And it's a global day of giving that harnesses the collective power of individuals, communities, and organizations to encourage philanthropy and to celebrate generosity worldwide. Following Thanksgiving and the widely recognized shopping event Black Friday and Cyber Monday, this year's hashtag Giving Tuesday will take place on November 27th, and it will kick off the giving season by inspiring people to collaborate and give back. So if you get a chance, go on, I guess, I don't do Facebook,
favorite social media.
so it's very, very difficult for me, but anyway, just push that in, and it'll give you ideas on things that you can do for your community and
And the
all
Ed
of that.
Foundation is one of those.
And our Education Foundation is one that you can
Is it
give to.
set up on any of our websites?
Well, I'm sure that if you go into our Education Foundation website, you can get there, but
And you can get to that website from.
you can do the hashtag Giving Tuesday. And it says for the first time, the Education Foundation is participating in Giving Tuesday. They're through an email or social media campaign. Community members and supporters can donate at www.d99ef.org. So that's our website. And so that's a little plug for Giving Tuesday. And Pizza Wars, remember to save the date. It's going to be Thursday, February 28th at 5:30 at the South High Cafeteria. Kind of the same thing. We've got, so far, we've got 10 pizza parlors that are participating this year. So it should be exciting. And we're going to have student organizations helping us kind of direct people and help the pizza parlors. So please participate in that and buy your tickets early because we tend to sell out. And we've only got a limited number that can fit in there. So we don't want to overcrowd it. So please get your tickets early. And anyone who'd like to volunteer to give back to the community through the Education Foundation, we will be happy to talk with you, and there are positions on the board to help with that. So please you can contact me, or you can contact Julia Beckman, our president, and we would be happy to speak with you. So
Thanks, Tara.
sorry about my little speech here, but I had to
Good work. It's all good stuff.
get everything in.
Mike, did you have anything more to say about IASB?
Oh, I dare say, Nancy, you've already heard enough from me about ISB this evening.
Moving on. We have 2 upcoming board meetings. December 3rd, we'll have a special meeting workshop at 6:30 PM here at the Administrative Service Center. And again, on December 17th, we'll have our regular business meeting at 6:30 PM here in the Administrative Service Center. Now, we are about to have a motion to go into closed session, just so people are aware. We will come back to take a vote. It will be very short. You're welcome to hang around if you want, but there won't be a lot of information shared about that vote. It will be just a vote. So
I move we go into closed session to discuss student disciplinary cases and the appointment, employment, compensation, discipline, performance, or dismissal of specific employees of the district or legal counsel for the district, including hearing testimony on a complaint lodged against an employee or against legal counsel for the district to determine its validity.
thank you, Dan.
I'll second.
Mike seconds.
Dan Nicholas?
Aye.
Mike Davenport?
Aye.
Cheryl Fuller? Aye. Craig Pasich?
Aye.
Rick Pavanato?
Aye.
Don Renner?
Aye.
And Nancy Kupka?
Aye, we are in closed session.